Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is Amy D'Amico, Resource Development Manager for Habitat for Humanity of Southeastern Connecticut. We'll meet her when we come back, so stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today, a first-timer on the show, Amy D'Amico. She is the Resource Development Manager for Habitat for Humanity of Southeastern Connecticut, and there are many Habitat for Humanities around Connecticut. You represent Southeastern Connecticut, but sort of a broad or a basic definition for what Habitat for Humanity is. Welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you. Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit Christian housing ministry. We work with low-income families to create safe, decent, and affordable housing. Our original model was ownership, so we would work with low-income families in partnership with volunteers to build or rehab homes, which are then sold to the families at no profit, usually through an interest-free mortgage. Now, to address more wide housing needs, Habitats are beginning to move into home repair programs and other neighborhood rehabilitation programs.
So it won't necessarily be a situation where they would sell the house at no cost. They'll just fix the house up, in some examples.
Right. These are new programs for low-income homeowners who are in their homes. So often probably people who have aged in their homes,
right,
and are on a fixed income now.
So how can you go back to the beginning and you know, how was it decided that you know, an organization like Habitat for Humanity was necessary to come into being?
Habitat for Humanity was started in 1976 by a couple named Linda and Millard Fuller, and they had been a wealthy couple, but their marriage was kind of falling apart, so they went to a place called Coninia Farms, which was in southern Georgia, and it was sort of a progressive Christian community where you had black people and white people living together, doing this kind of affordable housing, and it employs what we call the theology of the hammer, which is people of all faiths or no faith coming together for this common goal to create affordable housing. And Millard and Linda really kind of ran with it from Coninia Farms. They went to, I believe, Zaire for a few years to establish the program there, and then came back to the States, and it just kind of took off from there.
You mentioned that their marriage was falling apart. Did they use this as a sort of an opportunity to maybe try to fix their marriage in some way?
My understanding is that they did, in a way. They sort of gave up their material wealth and went to live on this farm to get back to
basics, really, and each other. So it just goes to show you what money can do to you, or you know, or a situation or a marriage for some people, you know. And
on the other side, what doing good can do.
Exactly. You can be, you know, rich people can be very philanthropic when they want to be, and there's certainly a lot of examples of that. So Habitat for Humanity came about, and you know, it's been going strong ever since. And obviously, even with the new programs that you just talked about, over the years since the 70s, it has evolved into what it is today.
Yes, yep. It's in, I believe we're in upwards of 90 countries. There have been over 500,000 homes completed worldwide, and 2.5 million people live in Habitat homes today.
And it just goes to show you the, you know, how the organization can evolve with the course of time to meet the needs of people. You know, like you had just mentioned, the fix-up programs and things of that sort. So it's not just, you know, someone eventually buying a house, but that's a good thing. You know, we were talking off the air about, as we tape the show, and you know, the economic times that we're in and the housing market, considering what it's in, does that make life easier for you or more difficult?
A little bit of both. Like, we apply for a lot of funding from local community foundations, and they suffered a little bit in the economic downturn. But on the other side, the federal government has taken steps to address all of the vacant and abandoned homes that came about due to that. So we've actually been very fortunate to receive funding through what's called the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, where nonprofit organizations and municipalities receive funding to purchase and rehab and sell or rent abandoned and foreclosed buildings.
And you know, and the housing market being as it is, there's certainly no shortage of you know, premises available for people that are in need, I would imagine, right?
Right. And we feel this is good too, because something that's important to Habitat is also being a good environmental steward. So instead of, using new resources and developing vacant land, we're developing and rehabbing existing.
Right, yeah. I mean, if there are structures already standing and they can be fixed up, why not utilize them instead of
Right.
building on vacant land, like you said. Now, there are a bunch of different Habitat for Humanities around the state of Connecticut. You obviously represent the Southeastern Connecticut version of it, but depending on where you are in the state, is that a determining factor for the availability of dwellings in general?
For Habitat dwellings? Yes, because some Habitat affiliates are more active than others. We, here in New London County, we average about 4 houses a year.
Is that a lot?
It's all relative,
Yeah,
really.
for the area that you're in, I guess, right?
For us, it's a lot. Historically, we had done 2 homes a year, and within the last 5 years, we've really bumped up
Right.
our production. So it's good for us. Habitat for Humanity of Hartford or Coastal Fairfield County, they do many more houses than we do.
Larger population,
Yep.
more need, and I would imagine more houses available too
Yep.
for the larger areas.
Yep.
So you work with what is what you have and what is given to you, and it's very rewarding for you, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
When you say resource development manager, what exactly does that title mean?
Mostly developing our funds, I guess. I do grant writing. I work with our annual appeal to our individual donors. I do some help looking for donations for our Restore that's located out in Salem, Connecticut. But it's a small office, so we all we all help each other out.
How many staff do you have there?
We have 5 full-time staff and a couple of part-time.
Right. So yeah, well, I mean, you got people that you can work with, and like you said, there's a good feeling doing it. Now, when you're writing grants and looking for private donations, what about companies and corporations? Do they get involved, and is it more difficult getting money out of them these days because of the economy?
Well, that's hard for me to answer because I started here in 2009.
Okay, so the economy was what it was when you got there, right?
But it seems like a lot of our local companies and corporations are very interested in volunteering, and most of them do make a donation when they do come and volunteer, and other companies have their community foundations as well, which have always been very supportive of us too. So.
Yeah, it's not just financial donations that you'd necessarily be looking for. If you're fixing up a place, anyone who has skills that are needed for certain purposes, whether it's a company or individuals, you're looking for them too, and there are all different skills that are needed, right?
Right, and actually you don't need any skills to
really?
go out to a Habitat work site. We definitely appreciate people with skills,
right.
but they let me go out there and swing a hammer. So any experience, no experience, we welcome all volunteers.
Now, are you doing a lot of the fixer-ups now, or is it still just a lot of the home selling?
We are just beginning a critical home repair program, we're calling it, and we're going to kick that off later this year and early next year in Norwich. But right now we're primarily focusing on our home construction and repairs for ownership.
What are the day-to-day duties for you, like as resource development manager? I know you said you wrote grants and things of that sort, but at the same time you were also out on a site swinging a hammer too, right?
Oh no, that's on my own time.
Oh, all right. So but listen, it just goes to show that what we were talking about before about the passion that you have for it, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of us in the office like to get out on the site because it reconnects you to why you're doing what you're doing. And what really does is when we have our home dedications, when our families receive their keys, and it's really always a special event.
Let's take a break because we're going to get to a lot of other stuff, but I want you to give out the website so people can go and learn more.
Okay, our website is Habitat, SECT, as in Southeastern Connecticut.org.
And we want to mention too that depending if you're watching from another part of the state, there are Habitat for Humanities all over the state. So if you happen to call or go on this website, they can certainly steer you to the right Habitat for Humanity, right?
Yes, and if they are from another area of the state, they could just go to habitat.org and search for their local affiliate on that.
Amy D'Amico, Resource Development Manager for Habitat for Humanity of Southeastern Connecticut. We'll take a short break and be back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today, Amy D'Amico, Resource Development Manager for Habitat for Humanity of Southeastern Connecticut, helping low-income families get into homes. And you know, if someone's watching this right now, it seems like a great idea for them, but they might want to know, even before they start the process themselves of inquiring with you, maybe what the process is of home ownership. So maybe talk about that in some detail.
Well, families apply to become a Habitat for Humanity homeowner, and they are selected on 3 criteria, which are need. They have to be living in substandard housing, which could be anything from unsafe housing to simply paying too much monthly. The willingness to partner. Families who are selected for home ownership do what we call sweat equity, which is 400 hours of work on their own home, another Habitat for Humanity homeowner's home. They also go to financial training and home ownership counseling before they move in, because we try and make sure people are as well equipped to succeed in their home.
You don't want to get them into a home and then have them sort of, you know, not be able to, you know, afford it in some way or whatever.
Yeah.
I like the name though, the sweat. You know, just because they're going to be, you know, pounding some nails in their own house, you know, but also, you know, you got to figure that takes some pride for some people to get involved in the improvement of their own, the place where they'll live.
Yep, and then when they do move in, I remember one homeowner, she had moved in and she needed to switch out a doorknob or something, and she said to us after, and I knew how to do it. I just went and did it.
I went and did it myself. So, very gratifying for them.
Yep.
Right? So okay, so they fill out they fill out the forms. They do those certain things. What happens next? Is there a waiting period?
Well, how it works is we have a homeowner applicant information session, and people have to come to those in order to get an application. And our office holds them probably twice a year whenever we're beginning to kick off a couple more projects. So they come to that. They fill out what we call a pre-application, and we have a committee of volunteers who review them to kind of see if they would be eligible for our program. The third criteria I didn't mention is ability to pay. We serve families who earn 30 to 50% of the area median income, because they do have to be able to afford the mortgage, even if it is interest-free and at no profit. People who on paper seem to qualify, the income guidelines and everything like that, are given another application, which is more detailed, and then the committee does home visits to see the situations that the families are living in, and decisions are made from there. We try and pick the families who have the greatest need.
First. How long of a waiting list is there for this? Are there more people looking for homes or fix-ups now too than there are homes available? I know we talked about the abundance of homes because of the way the housing market is now, but I mean, are there a lot of applications coming into you?
Yes, there are. Like I said, we do about 4 homes a year, so typically people are applying for, there are 2 homes available when people are applying typically, and we receive many applications. Right now, in between application cycles, we keep a list of people who call and are interested, and there are probably 70 to 100 people on there, I think.
Wow,
maybe.
That's a lot. So it just goes to show you the scope of what's needed, you know, out in the community.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. There's a great need, I think, for affordable housing, and not just affordable ownership opportunities, but affordable rentals for people.
That too. Yeah. And so Habitat for Humanity deals with rentals as well as the no.
No, I'm sorry, we don't. We just do ownership.
But you made a good point though, that there's a need for that as well as the home ownership too. So something that it shows you the scope of what's going on in the communities around. So let's talk about the Restore in Salem. What's that all about?
The Restore in Salem is a retail operation that supports all of our housing initiatives. What it is, it's a resale center, so people and businesses donate mostly building materials, furniture, appliances, things that are housing related, and we resell them to the general public. The items might be new or used, typically used but gently used, and all of the proceeds go to support our building initiatives.
And it doesn't have to be somebody who needs that in a low-income house. Anybody can go into that store and buy
right,
it.
Anybody.
Right.
Yep.
And do you have people that will, you know, even though it's gently used, there may be something that needs to be fixed. That's all taken care of before it comes out, or do you have people that might be able to tinker a little bit with it, or before it goes out on display, or? I guess it
Most of
depends on what it is, right?
It depends on what it is. Most of what we accept usually is in sellable condition.
Right.
When we accept it, everything we sell is good quality, and if people are interested in donating, we do pickups. We have a box truck that goes out.
That's important to know too, because you can't get those big things, in your store without, expecting everybody to drop them off in the first place. So the trucks idea is definitely a good idea, and also it's important to get the word out about that because you've heard of the Salvation Army and Goodwill and things like that, but they need to know that you are Habitat for Humanity is available to pick up things as well, the slightly used things. So how's the Restore store going?
It's doing well.
Yeah.
It's grossed over $1 million. Yes, it's grossed over $1 million, and it's 4.5 years of operation, I think.
Very nice.
So it's doing well. It's a pretty popular place, I think.
How did you decide on Salem for its location?
Well, that was decided before I was around,
Right.
but I think the property next to Salem Country Gardens, or the space next to Salem Country Gardens, was available, and it's on a pretty busy road.
Yeah,
for
Route
people.
85 there, right? So
Yep.
you just go right down there. I would imagine that you're always in need of volunteers.
Absolutely.
And again, like you had said before, not necessarily any skill is needed per se, right?
No, and the Restore is also, we have one staff person out there right now, and the rest of it is volunteer operated. So we're always looking for more. If you're maybe intimidated or not interested in working on a construction site, we can definitely use volunteers to help out there.
Is that primarily what you'll be using volunteers for, a construction site, or if possible at the Restore?
Yes, but we also welcome volunteers either in our office, and we
Right.
have a lot of committees, like I mentioned, our family selection committee. They're always looking for more people in any capacity.
What do you personally hope to accomplish? Where do you want to see it go? Do you want to make sure that everybody has some kind of affordable housing? The goal is to make sure that nobody is in need, right?
Right. I think that is the goal. And maybe not everybody has a Habitat house, but another part of what Habitat for Humanity International encourages is advocacy. So I think part of what we try and do is raise awareness that affordable housing is an issue and safe housing is an issue in Southeastern Connecticut and in all of Connecticut. So the goal would be for everybody to have a safe, decent place.
We were talking. Another thing we were talking about off the air is this is in your blood. Like there's a passion for it for you. What were you doing before Habitat for Humanity?
Well, before Habitat for Humanity, I kind of split my time between working as a deckhand on a small
That's
cruise
exciting. Yeah.
boat and teaching English abroad. But in between those things, I'd always come home to Habitat. I started working with them in college, and I would come back to our New London office and volunteer whenever I was home. So.
And you always knew, yeah. So even then, you knew that you were going to be involved or be a part of it in some way.
Yeah, I just had to get my wanderlust out, and then.
How'd you work your way to the resource development manager? Obviously, you were volunteering, but you worked your way up.
I ended up doing a year as an AmeriCorps member, which is like a sort of domestic Peace Corps. And my role there was resource development, but it was sort of a little less, it was more of a support role,
right.
I guess. And after that, this job opened up. And
yeah, there you go. And you were back to your home, as it were, Habitat for Humanity. And you could probably easily plug yourself into one of the other locations around Connecticut, or really anywhere. And still be able to do a great job, right?
I think so. Everybody's a little different, but it's really nice to be home. I grew up around here, so it's nice to be serving the community.
That's right. You're back. You really are back home then.
So
we talked a few things in this segment, like the process for home ownership, the Restore, and certainly how to volunteer. Is there anything else you want to make sure that we touch on before we wrap it up today? Maybe any misconceptions about Habitat for Humanity, or if somebody's watching right now, what's the first step they take?
For home ownership?
Yeah, or maybe they know somebody, or just what to do. Obviously, aside from going to the website where they can go and learn more, and we'll mention that again in a second too.
Well, if they're in Southeastern Connecticut, they can give our office a call. If they're not, they should go to habitat.org to locate their local branch, and whether they're interested in volunteering or home ownership, just reach out to their local affiliate and they'll point them in the right.
And you're always looking for volunteers, right?
Absolutely.
And also always looking for financial donations whenever possible, too.
We're not going to say no.
Yeah, you're never going to say no to that.
Yep.
Is Habitat for Humanity plugged into social media? I'm sure everybody, I'm sure they are, because everybody is, right?
Yep, we do have a Facebook page.
All right.
Yep.
And you can probably get that through the website. There's probably a link right on there.
There is.
All right. So one more time on the website.
It's habitatsect.org.
And that's for the Southeastern Connecticut one. But again, we mentioned if you're watching from another part of the state and you want a Habitat for Humanity near you, you just go to the main website, right?
Yep.
And if they call you, you can refer them
Yeah,
to.
we're happy to refer anybody, or we can even look up there, whatever they need.
Right.
So.
Amy D'Amico, Resource Development Manager for Habitat for Humanity of Southeastern Connecticut. Pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. We will see you next time. Take care.